My beloved child, stay with me, because the words reaching you now are not about an ordinary check, an ordinary bank balance, or an ordinary kind of wealth. The title brought you here with an impossible image, a secret miracle check worth trillions of dollars deposited into your bank, but the deeper meaning is far greater than a number glowing on a screen. Don't look away now. What comes next changes everything. Imagine waking before sunrise, reaching for your phone, and seeing a balance so enormous that your mind cannot process it. For one breath, everything becomes silent. You refresh the page. You check again. The impossible figure remains. But then a question rises inside you: what if the greatest deposit heaven could place into your life was not merely money? What if the bank was your future, the check was your potential, and the unimaginable amount represented opportunities, wisdom, courage, relationships, ideas, time, purpose, and doors you once believed were permanently closed? Stay with me. This is where the story begins. You have spent too long measuring abundance only by what you can count. You looked at what was missing and assumed nothing was moving. You looked at delays and thought nothing was being prepared. You looked at unanswered questions and wondered whether your season had been forgotten. Yet some of the greatest transformations begin where nobody can see them. A seed does not announce itself while breaking open beneath the soil. Dawn does not ask permission before appearing over the horizon. And a new chapter can begin quietly before the evidence becomes visible. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because the secret miracle in this message is not a promise that literal trillions have suddenly appeared in your financial account. It is the revelation that your life may contain value you have not yet learned how to recognize. There are abilities inside you that have never been fully used. There are ideas you dismissed because they seemed too simple. There are conversations you postponed because you thought the timing was wrong. There are opportunities that may appear ordinary at first and later become turning points. Your answer is closer than you think. Picture a heavenly ledger opening, not filled with currency, but with everything you survived without losing your capacity to hope. Every time you started again. Every time disappointment tried to convince you that your best days were behind you, yet something inside you whispered, "Keep going." Every lesson you earned through patience. Every moment you chose wisdom instead of impulse. Every time you learned to walk away from what drained you and move toward what strengthened you. Those things have value. They become discernment. They become confidence. They become the ability to recognize the right door when it finally appears. Stay till the end, because the emotional twist is this. Perhaps you have been asking for a miracle that arrives already finished, while your greatest miracle is arriving as the power to build something that lasts. You wanted the giant check, but heaven may be pointing toward the mind capable of creating value. You wanted the instant balance, but your deeper blessing may be the discipline capable of protecting abundance when it comes. You wanted one breathtaking moment that solved everything, but your transformation may be unfolding through a sequence of decisions that changes everything permanently. Don't look away now. The symbolism of trillions matters because the number is deliberately beyond ordinary imagination. It represents abundance too large to reduce to what you currently see. Think about how many possibilities can exist beyond one difficult season. Think about how different your life can become through one new skill, one courageous decision, one honest conversation, one opportunity recognized at exactly the right moment. This is why you cannot judge tomorrow entirely by today's circumstances. The person looking at an empty field sees dirt. The person who understands seasons sees a harvest that has not appeared yet. The person looking at a blank page sees nothing. The Creator sees a story waiting to exist. And perhaps you have been staring at a blank page in your own life, assuming nothing is there, when what is actually there is possibility. Stay with me. Something is changing in the way you are being asked to see yourself. Not as someone waiting helplessly for fortune to arrive, but as someone capable of becoming prepared for extraordinary opportunity. The secret check is symbolic, but the preparation must become real. Your attention is valuable. Your time is valuable. Your choices are valuable. Your integrity is valuable. Your ability to learn is valuable. Your willingness to begin again is valuable. Imagine if you protected those things with the same seriousness you would protect trillions sitting inside an account. Would you waste your mornings the same way? Would you keep giving your strongest energy to things that return nothing meaningful? Would you continue doubting every idea before giving it a chance to breathe? Would you keep allowing yesterday's disappointment to withdraw confidence from tomorrow? What comes next changes everything. The miracle is not asking you to pretend that numbers exist where they do not. It is asking you to understand something much more powerful. Visible circumstances are not the complete measurement of your future. A bank statement can tell you what is financially present today. It cannot tell you what idea you will have next month. It cannot measure the person you will meet next year. It cannot calculate the knowledge you are about to gain, the opportunity you are preparing to recognize, or the courage you will develop after finally deciding that fear will no longer write your story. Don't skip. There is a mysterious reason this message feels like a deposit rather than a gift placed directly into your hands. A deposit is something entrusted. Something meant to be handled wisely. Something that carries responsibility alongside possibility. And that is the first once-in-a-lifetime revelation. Perhaps the next chapter is not only about receiving more. Perhaps it is about becoming someone who can carry more without losing peace, gratitude, wisdom, or direction. You may have asked, when will my life change? But another question is waiting beneath it: who will I become when it does? Stay with me. Because if enormous opportunity appeared tomorrow, would your habits protect it? Would your discernment recognize what deserves a yes and what deserves a no? Would your patience stop you from chasing every glittering distraction? Would your character remain steady when people suddenly began treating you differently? This is the hidden preparation nobody talks about. Before some doors become useful, the person walking through them must become ready. That readiness can feel like delay when you do not understand what is happening. But later, you look backward and realize the waiting season taught you exactly what the next season required. Your answer is closer than you think. There were moments when you thought you were losing time, but you were learning patience. Moments when you thought you were being overlooked, but you were discovering independence. Moments when plans collapsed, forcing you to become creative. Moments when certainty disappeared, teaching you how to move forward without having every answer. None of those experiences automatically guarantee wealth, and they do not magically place money into an account. Their value is deeper. They can become wisdom when you choose to learn from them. And wisdom can change the direction of a life. Stay till the end. The title speaks about a secret miracle because some transformations remain invisible until the day their results suddenly become obvious. People see the successful decision, they do not see the months of learning before it. They see confidence, they do not see the private battles that created it. They see the open door, they do not see how many closed doors taught someone where not to go. They see the harvest, they forget the field once looked empty. So when you hear a secret miracle check worth trillions, imagine something far more meaningful than fantasy currency. Imagine an account filled with untapped possibility. Imagine every skill you could still learn. Every person you could still encourage. Every meaningful project you could still create. Every morning you have not yet lived. Every wise choice you have not yet made. Every opportunity that has not yet introduced itself. Suddenly, the future stops looking empty. It becomes enormous. Don't look away now, because there is another layer. The greatest wealth is not simply having more, it is knowing what enough means so that more never owns you. There are people who possess extraordinary resources yet cannot purchase one peaceful night inside their own minds. There are people surrounded by possessions who remain hungry for meaning. There are people chasing the next number because the previous number never answered the question they were actually asking. And perhaps this message found you to separate abundance from obsession. Real abundance gives you room to live, give, create, breathe, support the people you love, pursue meaningful work, and make decisions from wisdom rather than constant panic. That is why the symbolic check is unimaginably large, not so you become hypnotized by the number, but so you finally ask what you would do if scarcity stopped controlling every decision. Who would you become? What would you create? Who would you help? What dream would you finally take seriously? What part of yourself would awaken if you stopped believing your possibilities were small? This is where the story begins. Imagine standing before two doors. Behind the first is an enormous vault filled with wealth but no wisdom. Behind the second is a smaller room containing knowledge, discipline, meaningful relationships, creativity, patience, healthful routines, purpose, and the ability to recognize opportunity. At first, the first door looks irresistible. But years later, something surprising becomes clear. Without what was behind the second door, the treasure behind the first could disappear as quickly as it arrived. Yet the person who developed what was behind the second door gained something capable of creating value again and again. That is the emotional twist hidden inside this message. You thought the miracle was the check. The miracle may be becoming the person who no longer needs fantasy to believe the future can improve. Stay with me. You can begin building before everything is perfect. You can learn before the opportunity arrives. You can become disciplined before the reward appears. You can become generous before you feel wealthy. You can treat your time like treasure before anybody else recognizes its value. You can stop spending your attention on things that leave you emotionally empty. You can stop comparing your first chapter to someone else's 20th. You can decide that your future deserves preparation. Something huge is waiting for you, but huge does not always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet realization at an ordinary hour: I cannot keep living beneath my potential. Sometimes it arrives as the courage to send an application, learn a skill, start creating, repair a relationship, organize your finances, finish what you started, or finally believe that consistency matters more than temporary excitement. Don't skip. A miracle mindset without action becomes daydreaming, but hope joined with action becomes movement. And movement creates possibilities that standing still never reveals. There is something deeply spiritual about refusing to waste the life placed in your hands. Not because every effort guarantees a spectacular financial outcome, but because every meaningful effort develops you. Even when one road does not lead where you expected, you carry forward what you learned. Even when one door remains closed, your preparation is not necessarily wasted. You become sharper. You understand yourself better. You begin recognizing patterns. You stop begging every opportunity to choose you and start evaluating whether an opportunity deserves you. What comes next changes everything. Imagine receiving a sealed envelope bearing your name. You open it expecting a check, but instead there is a mirror. Beneath the mirror are the words, "The treasure begins here." At first you feel confused. You expected something external. Something dramatic. Something instantly measurable. But then you understand. Every empire began as somebody's decision. Every invention began as an idea nobody could touch. Every meaningful transformation began before anyone else could see it. The mirror is not saying you control every circumstance. You do not. Life contains uncertainty, setbacks, and factors beyond anyone's control. The mirror is reminding you that your response still matters. Your next decision still matters. Your willingness to learn still matters. Your answer is closer than you think. The symbolic deposit has another meaning: you have been given today. 24 hours. It sounds ordinary until you remember that nobody can purchase yesterday at any price. A billionaire cannot buy back one wasted decade. A king cannot command a vanished morning to return. Time is the currency beneath every other currency. And today, another deposit of time appeared in your account. How will you spend it? That question is more powerful than imagining trillions because the answer can actually change what happens next. Stay with me. Protect an hour today and use it intentionally. Learn something. Build something. Write something. Plan something. Repair something. Rest intentionally if your strength needs restoration. Give your attention to something worthy of receiving it. Small decisions seem unimpressive because their value compounds quietly. But so do wasted days. So do postponed dreams. So does self-doubt repeated until it becomes identity. Don't look away now. The greatest withdrawal from your future may not be failure. It may be believing you must feel completely ready before beginning. Readiness often arrives through beginning. Confidence often appears after action, not before it. Clarity often grows while walking. The person you become by moving forward may eventually look back at this season and realize the treasure was already arriving in pieces: one lesson, one decision, one boundary, one opportunity, one moment of courage at a time. Stay till the end, because there is still one revelation left inside this first chapter. Imagine the balance on that symbolic heavenly account again. Trillions upon trillions. You stare at it and ask, why would this be entrusted to me? And the answer is not, because you are guaranteed unimaginable riches. The answer is, because the value of a human future cannot be accurately reduced to a number. You do not yet know every person your life will affect. You do not know which conversation may encourage someone at exactly the right moment. You do not know which idea may become meaningful work. You do not know which decision may redirect your family for years. You do not know which skill may open a door that currently does not even exist. You do not know which disappointment may quietly push you toward something better suited to who you are becoming. That uncertainty is not proof that something spectacular must happen. It is proof that the story is unfinished. And an unfinished story still contains possibilities. Something huge is waiting for you, not necessarily a magical deposit, but perhaps a new understanding of abundance itself. Abundance of thought. Abundance of courage. Abundance of creativity. Abundance of meaningful connection. Abundance of opportunities you become prepared enough to notice. This is where the story begins, because when you stop treating your future as already decided, you start approaching today differently. You become curious instead of defeated. You become intentional instead of passive. You begin asking better questions. Not, why hasn't everything happened yet, but, what can I prepare today? Not, why does someone else have more, but, what can I build with what is already in my hands? Not, when will somebody rescue my dream, but, what is the smallest meaningful action I can take now? Stay with me. There is power in that shift. It takes the miracle out of the realm of empty fantasy and places possibility beside responsibility. It reminds you that faith can inspire action rather than replace it. It reminds you that hope is strongest when it gives you enough courage to move. Don't skip. Think about the word secret. A secret remains hidden until revealed. Perhaps the hidden thing was never a mysterious transaction. Perhaps it was your own capacity. The patience you did not know you possessed until life tested it. The creativity you discovered because an easy solution disappeared. The courage you found after fear had already convinced you that you had none. The wisdom that emerged from mistakes you once wished you could erase. The empathy you developed because you remember what difficult seasons felt like. These are deposits too. They do not appear on financial statements, yet they can influence every financial, personal, creative, and relational decision you make. Don't look away now. One day, you may recognize that the chapter you once called, "Nothing is happening," was actually the chapter where your foundation was being built. And foundations are strange because nobody applauds them. They are buried beneath the finished structure. Nobody photographs concrete hidden underground when admiring a magnificent building. Yet without that invisible work, everything visible becomes fragile. Perhaps this season has contained foundation work. Learning what matters. Learning what does not. Learning whom to trust. Learning how quickly excitement can disappear and why consistency matters. Learning that attention is finite. Learning that peace is valuable. Learning that saying no can protect the yes that truly matters. Your answer is closer than you think. The trillion-dollar symbolism is beginning to make sense now. It was never about convincing you that an impossible sum appeared overnight. It was designed to make you stop thinking small about the value of preparation, time,